I'm definitely blaming Kevin Stefanski and his offensive coordinator. What the hell is going on? You know what? Listen, you're the QB too. Shouldn't you have reps? Correct me if I'm wrong. Listen, we watched a lot of quarterback play over the years. We've seen people inept. We understand limited skill level and stuff like that. What's rare to see is a quarterback that looked grossly ill prepared to be on the football field. I'm talking about schematically. Really, you complete the first couple of passes, and then after that, you can't find anybody. It made no sense to me. I found it to be very, very suspicious. That's not to big up Shedeur Sanders by any way. All right, he's got a lot to prove, and but also what alarmed me is that you're Kevin Stefanski, and you know that Dillon Gabriel is in concussion protocol, and you automatically declare him as a starter next week. Why would you do that? You know, he said he'd be there next week. He's our guy. That's what he said after the game. Why? You don't know if he's going to be available. You don't know. So why would you say that? It just seemed very eerily suspicious to me. I didn't like what I saw.
Yeah.
When the Cleveland Browns walked into Baltimore and walked out with a devastating 23-16 loss, the story wasn't just the scoreboard. It wasn't just the fourth quarter collapse. No, the entire NFL world shifted when Shadur Sanders, yes, Coach Prime's son, was thrown into the fire with absolutely no warning. No reps, no timing, no chemistry, and somehow, we're supposed to believe he was the problem? That's the question echoing around the league. And right after this time-stamped moment, the one you just heard, the conversation exploded. Because right there on First Take, Stephen Smith didn't hold back. He asked the question everybody in Cleveland is too scared to ask. What on earth is Kevin Stefanski doing? Today on Gridiron Insights, we break down the chaos. We break down the blame. And we break down exactly why Shedur's debut was a setup that no young quarterback could succeed in. But first, let's talk about how this all started. Dillon Gabriel goes down with a concussion. The Browns, already struggling, already spiraling, already dropping games they should have won, now have to rely on their rookie backup, Shadur Sanders, to step in and salvage a nightmare rivalry game against one of the best defenses in football. But instead of getting a fair shot, instead of getting prepared, instead of even getting basic NFL-level support, Shadur entered the game like a man walking into a burning building with no gear and no plan. He completed just 4 of 16 passes, threw a pick, got sacked twice, and watched Baltimore run away with 13 unanswered points. But here's the twist. None of those mistakes were really on him. Not when the head coach himself admitted Shadur hadn't had a single rep with the first-team offense. Not one. Not in practice. Not in walkthrough. Not in warm-ups. So ask yourself, how do you expect a rookie to shine when he's basically throwing to strangers? The problem wasn't Shedur's performance. The problem was what Cleveland set him up for. And Stephen Smith said it loud enough for the whole league to hear. He said Shadur looked grossly ill-prepared, and not because of talent, but because the scheme, the preparation, the coaching, the very structure around Shadur Sanders failed him before he even touched the football. He questioned why a QB2, the man who is one play away from becoming QB1, didn't get any reps with the starters. He questioned why Stefanski declared Dillon Gabriel the starter next week even though he was still in concussion protocol. Why speak it so confidently? Why eliminate the possibility of Shadur getting a real shot? Unless you never planned on letting Shadur succeed. Even Stephen called it eerily suspicious. But he wasn't alone. Cam Newton, former MVP, one of the most respected quarterbacks to ever play the game, stepped in and went nuclear. Cam talked about reps. He talked about rhythm. He talked about leadership. And then he said the thing that made every Browns fan freeze. I do not think Kevin Stefanski wants Shadur Sanders to succeed in Cleveland.
I do not think Kevin Stefanski wants Shadur Sanders to succeed in Cleveland. The reason being is, don't tell me what he said, don't tell me what he's saying. I'm going off of actions. All right, let's go off actions. The actions is, if I'm Shadur or if I'm a Shadur Sanders fan, I would not want him to take the field because that's going to consistently be the display we're going to see. It doesn't matter if it's Deshaun Watson. It doesn't matter if it's Shadur Sanders. It doesn't matter if it's Dillon Gabriel. It doesn't matter if it's Dan Orlovsky. It doesn't matter if it's Cam Newton. You need help in Cleveland, when you have a quarterback that's still making $46 million on your roster and he's not healthy, that impacts the talent that's around him. They are not a good team. Right. But this is the thing that really irks me the most, is because he doesn't get any reps. Circa 2015.
This wasn't a YouTuber. This wasn't a fan. This wasn't somebody shouting into Twitter spaces at 2 a.m. This was Cam Newton, former MVP, saying that Shedeur Sanders, a rookie trying to find his footing, was being sabotaged by the very people supposed to help him. Cam explained how every team he ever played on gave backups meaningful reps, from 6 to 12 snaps a practice. Enough to build chemistry. Enough to survive if the starter goes down. But Shedeur, he got 0. At some point, we have to stop sugarcoating it. Preparation is not optional in the NFL. It's the foundation of every quarterback's success. If you deny a rookie the foundation, don't act shocked when the building shakes. The offensive line didn't even know his cadence. They didn't know his snap count. They didn't know his timing. They didn't know him at all. That's not a football team, that's a setup. And after this loss to Baltimore, after the way Baltimore's defense hunted Shedeur the moment he stepped on the field, you have to ask yourself, was Shedeur being coached? Or was he being controlled? Do you think Kevin Stefanski was being careless? Or do you think Cam Newton is right and there's something intentional going on with Shedeur's lack of reps? Comment below. Cam Newton, voice rising, energy building, pointed to Shedeur's situation and said something every Browns fan needed to hear but didn't want to admit. He said it was unacceptable for a head coach in the National Football League to be this careless about a rookie quarterback's development. He even compared it to his own career, a career where Derek Anderson got consistent reps behind him. Not because Cam was injury-prone, not because there was drama, but because the NFL is a league of absolute unpredictability. One play away, Cam said, one play away from the entire season changing. What amazes me is that even under pressure, even under fire, even with a playbook that wasn't built for him, Shedeur kept standing tall. He kept scanning. He kept searching for windows that weren't even being opened for him. So what were the Browns doing? If Dillon Gabriel went down, which he did, why was Shedeur treated like a last-minute emergency plan instead of the obvious next man up? Why was he not prepared? Why was he not trusted? Why was he not given the same support every NFL backup receives? And more importantly, why were the Browns acting like Shedeur wasn't even part of the future? This wasn't a one-possession preseason game. This wasn't a garbage time drive. This was a meaningful AFC North battle, and instead of preparing for the possibility, Cleveland pretended it didn't exist. If you're scared to let Shedeur succeed, don't put him on the field. But if you put him on the field, don't sabotage him. And let's talk about the context of this loss. The Browns didn't lose 23-16 because Shedeur stepped in. They were already drowning. Their defense was breaking. Their offense had no rhythm. Their run game disappeared late. Their receivers couldn't separate. Shedeur was thrown in to save a sinking ship that had holes in it long before he arrived. But instead of pointing at the real causes, instead of holding Stefanski accountable, instead of questioning the scheme, the preparation, the culture, some fans wanted to blame Shedeur Sanders, a rookie with no reps, no chemistry, and no chance. Cleveland has spent years trying to rebuild an identity. Defense-heavy seasons, quarterback rotations, coaching changes, and yet somehow, the most basic part of a functioning franchise, developing the next man up, continues to slip through the cracks. Even Dan Orlovsky, usually level-headed, usually calm, admitted the whole situation was bizarre. He said the reps situation wasn't unprecedented, but the fact that the offensive line had never heard Shedeur's cadence? Yes, that was weird. Yes, that was concerning. Yes, that blew the conversation wide open. Because that's not a normal mistake, that's not an oversight, that's a structural failure. Do you think Cleveland should have started giving Shedeur reps the moment he was drafted, knowing Deshaun Watson's health history? Let me know below. And then came the part that shook the entire panel. Steven pressed Dan Orlovsky. He asked why Dillon Gabriel, when Joe Flacco was in Cleveland last year, got first-team reps as the backup, but Shedeur Sanders didn't. Suddenly, The excuses didn't hold. Orlovsky tried to rationalize it. He tried to say it might not be intentional. He tried to say Stefanski was a smart coach. But the more he talked, the more it sounded like he was trying to convince himself. Because Stefanski is smart. He is experienced. He is a coach of the year. But that makes the situation worse, not better. If he knows better, why didn't he do better? If he understands quarterback development, why hasn't he developed this one? Why Shedeur? Why the rookie with the biggest spotlight? Why the player who brings media attention, fan attention, cultural significance, and NFL-ready poise? Why mishandle him? Every time Shedeur steps on the field, he brings a spotlight. Maybe the real problem is that Cleveland wasn't ready for it. And this brings us to the heart of the issue. Cleveland fans know it. Shedeur fans know it. Coach Prime knows it. The Browns didn't lose because of Shedeur. They lost because they were unprepared, because the coaching staff didn't plan, because the team didn't communicate. And when your offensive line doesn't know your cadence, when your receivers don't know your rhythm, when your coaches don't game plan for your skill set, you aren't being set up to succeed. You're being put on display. So yes, criticize the stat line if you want, but stats don't tell this story. Preparation does. Coaching does. Leadership does. And right now, Cleveland is failing Shedeur Sanders more than Shedeur Sanders is failing Cleveland. This story isn't over. This controversy isn't done. And the next time Shedeur touches the football, the whole world will be watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, and if you want honest, fearless, unapologetic coverage of every Shedeur Sanders storyline the NFL throws at us, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to Gridiron Insights. We break the stories nobody else wants to touch. We say the things nobody else wants to say, and we stand with the players who deserve better. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.